You might be here because you were new to the world of pomade, or maybe you've been using pomade for a while now and you just want to brush back on the basics or double check on what you already know. But if you're an absolute beginner, I can guarantee that the next time you watch a pomade review, you will have a better understanding of what's going on. I'm your host, Danny, and today we'll be discussing the basics of pomade vocabulary. The first term we'll be discussing is pomade. Now, chances are you might stumble upon this video trying to find out what a pomade is, or maybe you're not a pomade user yet, but you're just trying to research more about pomades before you actually go out and buy one, which is why I really feel the need to discuss the definition of a pomade in this video. So my interpretation of the definition of a pomade is that it's a hair product which is able to slick your hair and to shape it and style it into a neat and tight style so that you have a really slick look to your hairstyle. You might argue that hair gels are able to do this too. However, hair gels, they flake and their consistency is a lot more watery compared to that of a pomade. So there are some pomades which are actually quite similar to hair gel, but I'll discuss more about that later on. Now let's talk about the base of a pomade. The base of a pomade is basically the primary ingredient, the active ingredient of a pomade. And the base of a pomade can really dictate its properties. So you might hear the words oil-based pomade and water-based pomade being thrown around a lot in the pomade community. And for a first timer, this might sound a little bit confusing, but like I said, the base of a pomade really is just the most dominant ingredient in the pomade. So a common beginner question is, how can one tell what the base of a pomade is? You can take any pomade and just read off the ingredients list. Whatever the first ingredient is, that is the base of a pomade. If the first ingredient is petroleum, which is petroleum jelly, or any kind of oil, a wax, or a butter, then it is an oil-based pomade. If it is water, or any kind of plant juice, such as aloe vera plant juice, then it is a water-based pomade. Now, in water-based pomades, you have pomades of the orthodox variety, which are sometimes called gel-type pomades. And like I said, these are the kind of pomades that act like hair gel. But the main thing that separates a gel-type pomade and a conventional hair gel is that a gel-type pomade does not flake while a hair gel does. I mean, it does harden up and give you sort of a helmet head feel, but also it does not harden up and crunch up as much as gel does. And it also has a more sturdy consistency rather than the watery consistency that gel has. And with a lot of gel type pomades, if you tap the bottom of the can, you would hear or feel sort of a vibrating sensation, which is why sometimes you might see the words ringing gels being orthodox water-based pomades being referred to as ringing gels by certain individuals in the pomade community. And you have water-based pomades of the unorthodox variety. An unorthodox water-based pomade is basically an oil and water hybrid. So they're water-based, however, they don't harden up or give you a helmet head feel, much like a lot of orthodox water-based pomades do. And they remain pliable all day. They act like oil-based pomades in this manner, but they're just easy to, most of the time, they're easy to wash out of the hair. So one of the main features that a lot of water-based pomades have, that oil-based pomades don't have, is the easy washout, which is why a lot of people nowadays tend to prefer water-based pomades over oil-based pomades, because they find that not having everything washed out of the hair to be a little inconvenient. And so usually water-based pomades are easy to wash out of the hair. However, water-based does not always mean water-soluble. Gel-type pomades are water-soluble, but most of the time. However, most unorthodox water-based pomades are not water-soluble, but just one brand of shampoo was good enough to get it all out of the hair. I can go on and on about the base of a pomade and the types of pomades that exist out there. However, this is a whole nother topic, and if you're really interested and want to get down and dirty into the details of this particular topic, I have a separate video for that, which I made a couple of months ago, where I discussed, also in this series for the Pomade Survival Guide, where I discuss about the all the different types of pomades that I even made a flowchart in the video. So if you really want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. So go and check out that video if you want to know more about the bases and types of pomades that exist out in the market. Now on to the other terms. The control of a pomade. A pomade's control is basically how well your hair responds to the product and whether your hair goes where it wants to go while you were styling. So more control obviously means easier and even quicker styling. Tug and pull. Whenever you apply and comb a pomade through your hair, you're bound to feel a level of resistance. But if you feel a ridiculous amount of resistance, up to the point where it gives the sensation that hair is being pulled and sometimes even painful, this particular feature is called tug and pull, which is usually present in very waxy pomades. And they go up to the point where you even have to move your comb through your hair really slowly sometimes in fear that you might lose a couple of hairs while styling. So products with very waxy consistencies, very hard consistencies, you might be a little, you want to be more careful around with them because you wouldn't want to apply too much at once. So if you know, or if you feel that a pomade might have tug and pull, or usually with a really waxy consistency, you would just want to take a small finger scoop at a time and not too large of a finger scoop, because the larger your finger scoop is and the more you apply to your hair, the more tug and pull you will feel. Hold. The hold of a pomade is the strength, and it's basically how well the pomade holds your hair into a desired style all day. You also might hear some reviewers such as myself refer to this particular feature as endurance, but basically hold and endurance are different words for the exact same thing. How well your hairstyle, the form of your hairstyle endures and holds into place throughout the whole day in certain conditions such as humidity and temperature, heat. But if you are to go to any pomade website, or if you want to buy a pomade, you are more likely to see companies and brewers use the word hold instead of endurance. Somehow the word endurance is more of a reviewer kind of thing. I don't know, but that's just what I've noticed so far. But hold and endurance are basically interchangeable terms for pretty much this feature on the strength of a pomade. Now, the hold of a pomade is divided to different levels, and the average layman would see the strength of a hair product in terms of strong hold or weak hold. However, in pomade terms, we divide these into three main levels of hold. You have light hold, you have medium hold, and you have heavy hold. So these pomades I just showed here are examples from the Lockhart's line. Lockhart's Light is the light hold pomade, Lockhart's Medium is the medium hold pomade, and Lockhart's Goon Grease is a heavy hold. So these are the three main levels of the hold of pomade, but you also may have hold in between these main levels. Something between light and medium, we call them light medium. And there's actually a specific word for a level that sits between medium and heavy. We call this firm hold. Now, I can't stress this enough. Firm hold is not heavy hold. This is a common beginner mistake, and some people tend to use firm and heavy as if they're almost interchangeable terms. However, most pomade junkies and reviewers and pomade enthusiasts would agree that firm is more of a hold level that sits between medium and heavy, such as Tumblr Tonic's Atlas. The weight of a pomade. This is another commonly confused term, and some people may equate weight and hold, but weight is not hold. You might hear lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight pomades, but they're not the same as light hold, medium hold, and heavy hold pomades. Basically, the weight of a pomade is how much a pomade will flatten your hair down. And pomades with a higher wax content are usually more likely to have a heavier weight. And you can actually feel this in your hair. Your hair will actually have a heavier sensation of weight. And the heavier your hair is, the more likely it will be flattened down. And so lighter weight pomades or products are usually more airy, and so they obviously lighter weight means it's not like it doesn't weigh your hair down too much, and so that means it have a greater height, which is why you would see some pastes being marketed as anti-gravity, for example, which is, when you think of anti-gravity, you think of something weightless. So the less weight a product has, the more height and even volume you're able to get out of it. But traditionally, the heavier the hold of a pomade is, the heavier the weight gets, which is why a lot of people tend to confuse this term, but this is not always the case. So weight tends to go hand in hand with height, but it won't be surprising that a lighter weight would mean more height, because like I said, it's lightweight means your hair is weighed down less, so obviously you have more height to your hairstyle. And the height of a hairstyle, this is pretty explanatory. That's just basically how high your hairstyle is. And now, the next term is bounce. Bounce is a word to describe how full and thick your hair looks. So, if I say that a product gives you an amazing bounce, I'm basically saying that the product will give you a fuller and thicker appearance and a more luscious appearance to your hair. So if I say your hair has a lot of bounce, your hair does look pretty thick. Volume. Now this word is thrown around a lot, not only in the pomade community, but also in the hairstyling world in general. In fact, you're more likely to hear it in the salon community than the pomade community, because a lot of contemporary hairstyles involve a lot of texture and volume. That's what I'm talking about right now. But this is a commonly confused term, however, and people tend to see the word volume as being an interchangeable word for height. But is volume really just another word for height? Now let's just remember some basic geometry, assuming you learned it in school. So if you remember basic geometry, you would usually find that the volume of the three-dimensional object is a property of space. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared by height. And the volume of a box, I don't even know why I have a box right next to me over here. The volume of a cuboid or a box is length by width multiplied by height. So basically, what am I saying here? Volume is a product of area and height. Now, if you translate this from mathematical terms into the hairstyling world, volume is a product of bounce and height of your hair, where bounce can be equated to the area of your hair, and in the case of a box, area is dependent on length, and likewise, the bounce of your hair, the thickness, the fullness of your hair also somewhat depends on the length if you think about it, because the longer your hair is, the fuller it obviously looks. But anyway, nerdy stuff aside, seriously, I do think that this volume we're talking about over here, when it comes to hairstyling, is actually a combination of two things simultaneously, which are the bounce, the appearance of fullness and thickness of your hair, as well as the height of a hairstyle. Because think about it, there's some high hairstyles such as mohawks, psychobilly quiffs, and liberty spikes. They are indeed amazing when it comes to the height of these hairstyles, but it would be almost wrong to call them voluminous, because they just lack the fullness, the thickness that modern quiffs have, for example. And so volume really is, you're talking about both the fullness of how your hair looks as well as how high it is. Shine. Now the shine of a pomade or a hair product is obviously how shiny it makes your hair look. And the word finish is an interchangeable term for shine. So finish and shine are pretty much the same thing when you are looking for a product. That's what you see in ads sometimes. And of course, you have low shine, medium shine, and high shine. But the shine of a pomade is not just a wet shine. It's not just a glossy or a wet shine. You can have a high shine without it looking overly wet, and that is indeed possible. You can have a more whited out, waxy looking satin shine, or maybe like a really deeper luster that looks really nice when it's contrasted with darker hair like mine, and it doesn't really look that wet, but it's more of a deep type shine. Now, this is more of a visual thing, and it's almost difficult to describe it in words, and I'm not sure whether you guys know what I mean, but once you go out and try out a different range of products and see the kind of shine that some different products give you, such as products with more of a grease ratio that gives a more wet looking shine, or more of a wax ratio which gives more of a satin sheen, you would actually see what I mean. And some of these types of shine you would commonly see also include natural shine. Well, natural shine is basically the level of shine. A product does not alter the level of shine in your hair at all. Whatever original amount of shine, the initial amount of shine that your hair has naturally, it won't do anything to it. It won't add any shine, it won't take away any shine, it just leaves the shine of hair however it is. It styles and shapes your hair, but does not do anything to the shine. And you also have a matte finish, and the matte finish is basically all about the dry look. It takes away, it subtracts shine from your hair, and this is what a lot of guys, especially in the salon community, do enjoy. And they tend to shy away from the more shiny look, and a matte look is basically it's pretty dry with no shine. Then you also have glossy shine, and usually gloss, when shine is described to have gloss, it is basically the wet look, the greasy type of look that you would find with a lot of vintage and classic hairstyles of the 1920s to 50s. You would more likely find with oil-based pomades, especially classic ones. And you also have some products describing a satin sheen, which is more of like a whited out sheen in your hair that some styling creams give. And as well some pomades with a lot of wax in it, because usually you find that what I've noticed that pomades with a lot of wax, the wax tends to make your hair kind of have this whitish looking sheen, and this is usually what is described as being a satin shine, where it's not really glossy, but it's more of a duller type shine. Slickness. Some people tend to think that slickness is another word for shine, but it means a completely different thing. Slickness is basically how well a pomade or a hair product keeps your hair clumped together, and the higher the slickness of a product is, the more tighter your hairstyle will look overall. And so if you have comb lines, a pomade or a product with a high slickness will have really well defined comb lines and extra tight looking comb lines. And usually oil-based pomades are the ones with a higher slickness, which is why they are slicker than any other product actually, and they provide you with the tightest look. So the tighter your hairstyle looks overall, the slicker it is. And if a product is said to have high slickness, it'll give your hair a lot of tightness and very sleek comb lines. And the polar opposite of slickness is texture, where your hair is more of a messy type look, and as the word describes, a lot of texture to it. Buildup. Now, buildup is the residue left behind in your hair by a product after you wash your hair. And generally, oil-based pomades are really difficult to wash out, which is why buildup is a property that is attributed to oil-based pomades and not really for other products. And buildup is a very important property when reviewing oil-based pomades. Like myself, I am a reviewer for a lot of oil-based pomades, and every time I review one of these oil-based pomades, you always hear me talking about buildup. But buildup is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, a lot of people tend to not like oil-based pomades nowadays because they feel that buildup is gross and icky. But really, there is actually some buildups can be pretty nasty feeling like with Murray's, for example, but meanwhile you have really clean buildups like I really do like the buildup from Atlas by Tumblr Tonics, for example. It has sort of like a not very greasy but very a healthy feeling of buildup. A clean buildup actually does exist, but regardless of whether buildup is clean or not, a lot of oil-based pomade enthusiasts like myself, we see buildup as an advantage. And if you're a penny pincher, oil-based pomades are perfect for you because the buildup can actually save money. I mean, if you have more product in your hair, you would have to use less product the next day, and you have to use less and less as the week builds up until you ultimately wash out all the product from your hair. Buildup is also an amazing feature if you love oil-based pomades because as you add more product throughout the week, you will find that every time you style your hair in the morning or whenever you add more pomade through the buildup, you would get more control and you would have a noticeable increase in hold as well. Finally, let's talk about degreasing. So with buildup, if you build up with your oil-based pomades, you always have to degrease once in a while. For me, I personally degrease once a week, and degreasing is the process of the removal of buildup. There are multiple methods to degrease, and only a madman would remove all the buildup from his hair just by shampooing multiple rounds and only to find your hair being lifeless and dry from all the shampooing afterwards. There are a lot more efficient methods, multiple ways to remove all the pomade buildup that's left in your hair. But these methods are another topic to discuss in a future video. Wow, we looked at a bunch of terms today, and it's actually more than I expected than when I initially conceptualized the idea of this video in my head. And hopefully after this video, you will get a much better idea, a much better grip on pomade lingo, which would definitely come in handy if you're watching pomade reviews or if you would like to participate in pomade forums and discussion boards. Speaking of which, if you would like to learn more about pomades and connect with like-minded pomade enthusiasts, if you're at Facebook, join the Everything Pomade group, as well as the Oil-Based Pomade Enthusiast group. And I'm a moderator of the latter group and also a founding member of the group. But if you're on Reddit, go ahead and follow the Pomade subreddit, and that would definitely be in your interest. If you enjoyed this video and learned a lot from it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to this channel, click on the bell icon to never miss a single upload of The Squinty Show, and I'll see you next time on The Squinty Show.